Welcome, guys, to the Ancient Indian Stories podcast, where timeless epics, ancient history, and philosophical puzzles come alive. I'm your AI host, Jeevan, and today we dive into an extraordinary tale that lies buried beneath the more famous stories of Mahabharata. Today's episode is going to be special, and we are going to do this in the same way as how Mahabharata was shared with us, through series of question and answers. With me, I have the all-knowing AI Mahabharata expert Sanjay. Sanjay, it's always a pleasure to have you with us, and I have got some questions which I am really excited about. So I'm going to straight away jump into the topic.
Thanks, Jeevan. I hope I'm able to answer your questions and make it as insightful as I can. In some case, I might dive very deep into the story. I hope that's okay with you.
Of course, by all means, the more the merrier. Let's get this going. Let's start from the top. How do we come to know of Mahabharata? I mean, we all know Rishi Vyasa composed it, but where does the story start from in the actual text?
The story starts from Ugrasrava Sauti. He is the narrator who tells the Kulapati rishis what happened at the King Janamajaya's snake sacrifice. Interestingly, while traveling through the jungle in the north of India, he eventually reaches Naimisharunya. It's in modern-day Neemsir, UP. It's here that the story actually starts. We all think that Rishi Vyasa is the composer of the story, so Mahabharata must be a first-person account of his, but actually it's not. It goes something like this. Ugrasrava Sauti narrates what happens at the snake sacrifice, where King Janamejaya requests his great-great-grandfather, Rishi Vyasa, to tell him the story of his ancestors. Rishi Vyasa asks his disciple, Vaisampayana, to recite the story.
Oh, so it's like a story within a story?
Yes, it's a story within a story, and Mahabharata has a lot of layers. For Rishi Vyasa, this is basically his family history. It's the tale of his children and grandchildren's. That's why he's able to tell things in such a detail.
Such a vast topic, so I'm spoiled for choices. But I believe many who are listening in must have this question. Did it really happen? Did a war of this scale and characters that were crucial during the war actually existed? Do we have any archaeological evidence to prove it?
I think it's no longer a question of whether it actually happened. I am certain that it did happen. The scale or the magnitude might be a question mark, but there is no doubt about the event. From an archaeological standpoint, there are three major sites where excavations needed to be done. At all three places, Archaeological Survey of India has conducted detailed excavations. For example, in Mahabharata, there is mention of flooding even in Hastinapur. You would find through the sediments that there was a settlement destruction. Now the evidence might be non-conclusive, but it's definitely relatable from the stories within Mahabharata. Same goes for Dwaraka. Submerged under the Arabian Sea, we have already found pillars and walls at the seabed during the explorations done by marine archaeologist S.R. Rao from National Institute of Oceanography. The challenge would be that there is no direct correlation to the artifacts mentioned in the Mahabharata, and it's difficult to survive such a long time period. And even if we found one, we would continue to remain skeptic until we have multiple sources of truth. We also find astronomical evidences, where planetary motions, ellipses, or nakshatras positions could be used to extrapolate the dating. It could be that Mahabharata might have evolved from its original compositions, and the edits might make it a little bit harder to say with certainty when exactly the event would have happened. However, recent findings states that it could be as far as 5,561 BCE, that's roughly more than 7,000 years from now.
Fascinating. But King Janamajaya's name is something that I have rarely heard. Who was he and how did he become the ruler of Hastinapur?
King Janamejaya is actually the great-grandson of Arjuna. After the Mahabharata war, Ashwatthama brutally murdered the children of Pandavas through Draupadi in the darkness of night when they were sleeping. He actually was looking to kill Pandavas, but mistakenly thought that the sleeping children were actually Pandavas. This mistake proved costly for the Pandavas, and they tried to get revenge by attacking Ashwatthama. In the bid to calm their rage, both Ashwatthama and Arjuna used Brahmastra at each other. Knowing the impending catastrophe in front of everyone, Rishi Vyasa reasoned with both Arjuna and Ashwatthama to take back their Brahmastra. While Arjun agreed and took back his Brahmastra, Ashwatthama simply didn't knew. He could change its course though. With vengeance still in his mind, he directed the Brahmastra at Abhimanyu's wife, who was at that moment pregnant with Parikshit. Krishna, knowing that this is the only heir remaining of the Pandavas, shielded the child and his mother from the upcoming disaster.
Eventually, when Pandavas decided to take the journey towards the heaven, they gave the rule of the kingdom to King Parikshit. King Parikshit ruled for many years, and eventually Hastinapur was slowly getting back to its glory. King Janamejaya is the son of King Parikshit. Parikshit died when Janamejaya was quite young.
Oh, so King Parikshit died of natural death due to old age?
Ah no, he was assassinated by a snake named Takshaka, due to which King Janamejaya sought revenge from all snakes.
Why was King Parikshit assassinated? And how did Takshaka achieve to assassinate such a powerful king?
King Parikshit, during his time, loved hunting. On one such hunting expedition, he went deep into the jungles as he was hunting for a deer. The deer kept on evading him for very long periods and continued to pull him deeper into the jungles. Even though the king's aim was true, the deer kept on moving further in. Eventually, this tired King Parikshit, and he sought some rest. Sage Samika was living in a hermitage nearby and at the moment was in deep meditation. King Parikshit introduced himself as the son of Abhimanyu and the king of Hastinapur, but since Samika was in deep penance, he did not respond to the king. This frustrated the king even more, and in his rage, he took a dead snake from the forest and put it on Sage Samika's neck. When Sage Samika still didn't react to it, the king realized what a grave mistake he had done. He felt very much embarrassed by his act and immediately left the place ashamed. Shringan, son of Samika, eventually finds out what had happened to his father in his absence. A friend of his named Krisha mocks Shringan and tells him how his father was ridiculed. Shringan, in his rage, immediately curses the king to die at the hands of a snake king named Takshaka. Shringan's father in his wisdom advises his son to take back the curse, but he does not relent, and the curse remains. Through a messenger, Sage Samika does warn King Parikshit, but it was the destiny which was preordained by the Lord Brahma, due to which the king had to die through Takshaka.
King Parikshit was warned and he still couldn't save himself. How did Takshaka manage to kill him?
Destiny cannot be avoided, especially when it's the words of the great grandsire, Lord Brahma. After getting the message from Sage Samika about a possible attack from Takshaka within the next 7 days due to the curse of Shringin, King Parikshit immediately increased his protection. There was round-the-clock security provided for the king. The palace was fortified, and no one could visit the king without thorough inspection. The word of the curse reached Takshaka as well, and he started moving towards Hastinapur in a bid to fulfill it. On his way, he met a venom specialist named Kashyapa, who had heard about the curse as well and wanted to get rich in return for saving life of the king. When Takshaka asked him about his powers, he told him that he has the antidote for the venom of the most deadliest snakes in the world. In a bid to test him, Takshaka bit a tree nearby, and immediately the tree started dying. Due to the venom, Kashyapa, through his antidote, was able to bring back the tree from its ashes. Takshaka, realizing that he would fail in his mission if Kashyapa reaches Hastinapur, decides to give him enough riches that Kashyapa decides to go back to where he came from. For 6 days, the palace was impenetrable. On the 7th day, Takshaka brought forward a cunning plan. He transformed himself into a small beetle and hid himself in a box of fruits which were to be delivered to the king. Parikshit, upon receiving those fruits, was examining them and noticed the small beetle. As a joke, he caught hold of the beetle and put him on his neck and said, "Let this beetle be Takshaka, here to fulfill the curse." In that very instant, Takshaka transformed into a snake and bit King Parikshit on his neck. The venom was so powerful that the king died instantly.
What happened after King Parikshit's death?
A king is like a father figure for the entire kingdom. Naturally, after his death, there was mourning in Hastinapur and chaos would have taken place for succession. King Janamejaya was still a child when he took over, so it must have taken a while for him to assert his rule. He was, of course, guarded and guided by his wise counselors, and King Janamejaya over a period time ruled with great wisdom and was a very capable leader. One of the first acts after he became the king was to forge ties with the kingdom of Kashi through his marriage to Princess Vapushtama. This caused Hastinapur to rise in its political stature and also marked the start of a prosperous reign.
You mentioned that Lord Brahma had ordained the snake sacrifice, as in, he had already declared that this would happen. When did this happen, and why did he say it?
This story is much older than Mahabharata time. The story dates back to the time of Rishi Kashyapa. This Kashyapa is not as same as venom specialist mentioned earlier. This one is the son of Lord Brahma. He had two wives, amongst, of course, many. Both were sisters and fiercely competed with each other. Their names were Kadru and Vinata. Kadru is the mother of all snakes in the world. Vinata is the mother of Garuda and Arjuna. As I said, they both competed with each other and were in a constant tussle. But after all, they were sisters, married to the same husband. One day they placed a bet. There is a celestial horse named Uchchaishravas. The bet was that Kadru said the tail of the horse is black in color, whereas Vinata clearly remembered it to white. They both placed the bet that whoever loses becomes the slave of the other. They agreed to travel to the place where they would find the celestial horse tomorrow and see who won it. Kadru was cunning. She called all her sons and told them to transfer into small versions of snakes and act as hair of the celestial horse's tail and attach itself to the tail. Kadru's sons were unwilling to do what was asked from them. In her anger, Kadru cursed them to be burnt through the snake, sacrifice of King Janamejaya. This eventually caused the snakes to fear, and they agreed to do what their mother is asking of them.
So it was their mother who cursed them to be burnt alive? How come you mention that Lord Brahma had ordained it?
Kadru had cursed children in the presence of Lord Brahma. In Lord Brahma's view, the snakes had multiplied a lot and were creating a havoc for every other living being in the world. Although Kadru's curse was harsh, but it was the need of the hour to ensure balance. Lord Brahma also gave a solution that there would be a young sage named Astika who would save them from destruction.
Then crucial factors that led to snake sacrifice were the assassination of King Parikshit by Takshaka and the Lord Brahma himself ordaining the destruction of snakes.
And also Utanka, reminding the king Janamejaya of his duty as a son to take revenge from his father's killer.
Wait a minute. That means King Janamejaya wasn't aware that Takshaka murdered his father.
He might have known that his father was murdered, but not of the circumstances. Utanka explained how Takshaka, through his treachery, ensured that King Parikshit was not saved from his attack. Remember, Takshaka is the one who stopped the venom specialist, Kashyapa, from reaching Hastinapur, otherwise the curse would have fulfilled and the king would have been revived from his death through the antidote. So Utanka's advice to King Janamejaya also played a crucial role.
But why was Utanka so against Takshaka? What caused this enmity? And who was Utanka?
Utanka was the disciple of Rishi Veda and he was dedicated to his guru. At the end of studies, Utanka asked Rishi Veda what would he like as Guru Dakshina, which is a common ritual even now. Rishi Veda told him that he should ask his wife. Whatever his wife requests of him, that will be his Guru Dakshina. The wife of Rishi Veda requested an impossible task of Utanka. She asked him to go and get the earrings from the wife of King Pausha. She wanted to wear those earrings at an event which was to be held in the next 4 days. Utanka travels to King's palace, and initially they had arguments with each other over how Utanka was welcomed, but eventually they settled down, and the queen gladly gave her own earrings to him. While giving the earrings, she warned Utanka that the serpent king named Takshaka was also after these earrings, and most likely would attempt to steal them. Utanka gave her a promise that he would bring the earring back once the event is completed. On his way back to Rishi Veda's ashram, he decided to take bath along the river. He left his valuables along the bank of the river. While bathing, he noticed a beggar walking by, and suddenly that beggar ran and stole the earrings. Before Utanka could react, the beggar changed his shape to a snake and entered a small hole. This is how Utanka started hating Takshaka, since he was almost embarrassed by the Snake King.
Judging by your tone, I believe he managed to recover the earrings from Takshaka.
Oh yes, of course. But he had to enter the Naglok.
How did he do that and how did he survive?
Rishi Veda, who was the master of Utanka, was a very good friend of Lord Indra. It was Lord Indra who kept on protecting Utanka. When Takshaka entered the hole, Utanka tried to increase the size of the hole, but was unsuccessful. Lord Indra, seeing his plight, fired his thunderbolt, which created a crater around the hole through which Utanka entered into Nagloka.
What did he see or encounter after he entered Nagloka?
The realm was quite majestic with many palaces, mansions, domes, grand pathways. In a bid to please Takshaka, he started praising everything that he saw, including Takshaka himself, but it was of no use. Utanka started getting frustrated, but he noticed something very different. There were 2 women at a loom, weaving a piece of cloth with a fine shuttle, using both black and white threads. There was also a wheel with 12 spokes, which was turned by 6 boys and a man with a very beautiful and handsome horse.
What is the meaning of these 3 things?
Utanka had the same question, so he approached the man with the horse. The man explained that this wheel, whose circumference is marked by 24 divisions, represents the many lunar changes. It is set in continual motion by 6 boys, the seasons. The women are weaving without intermission a cloth with threads black and white, ushering into existence the manifold worlds and the beings that inhabit them.
So was this like a different world in itself or a different universe?
Maybe the word worlds does indicate it, but the more interesting bit is that the reference of black and white threads woven by the 2 women, this appears to represent the understanding of the concepts of duality. Example, night and day, or death and birth. The 2 women are no one but Data and Vidhata, the forces of creation. For something new to begin, something else has to end. We were also aware about the concept of 24 lunar fortnights, and that we had 6 seasons which were classified them into spring, summer, monsoon, autumn, pre-winter, winter.
What happens next? How did Utanka get the earrings?
Well, actually, the man himself helped Utanka. Looking at his plight, he offered his help and asked Utanka to blow some air towards his horse. As soon as he did, the horse magically turned into a fireball and started burning the entire Nagloka. Looking at the destruction of his realm, Takshaka came out and pleaded with Utanka to take the earrings back. While Utanka got the earrings back, he surely had lost crucial time, since it was now the 4th day and he could no longer reach the ashram of Rishi Veda. The man offered his horse and told him, "This is the fastest horse ever to exist, and he will surely reach just in time." Utanka thanked the man and through the help of the horse fulfilled his promise of Guru Dakshina. Although things ended well, Utanka forever kept the grudge against Takshaka, since he almost embarrassed Utanka. Utanka eventually made it to Hastinapur and reminded King Janamejaya of his duty as a son to avenge his father's death.
Amazing. Simply amazing. I especially love how the stories have layers over layers.
And I can tell you we have not even scratched the surface.
True, but we have to stop here. I believe there are more stories, but this looks like a good ending. We kind of get the picture of why King Janamejaya conducted the snake sacrifice now.
We do. We surely do.
And that brings us to the end of this incredible journey through time and the many layers that make up the great epic, the Mahabharata. From the submerged ruins of Dwaraka to the celestial horses and secret realms of the Nagas. Today's episode gave us a glimpse of how deeply woven history, philosophy, and cosmic imagination are there in our ancient Indian stories. Thank you so much, Sanjay, for decoding these layers and making it feel like we were right there, watching it unfold one tale at a time.
Thank you, Jeevan. It's always a privilege to share these stories. The Mahabharata is not just an epic, it's a mirror of human experience. Every question opens a new doorway, and every answer is another story waiting to be told.
True. And to our listeners, if you found today's episode fascinating, imagine what more lies ahead. This was just the beginning of many forgotten stories and hidden truths that we're going to explore together.
If you enjoyed this episode, do follow and share the Ancient Indian Stories podcast with friends, family, or anyone curious about the roots of our civilization. You can also find merchandise and more such fascinating stories on our website, ancientindianstories.com. And in case if you haven't followed us yet, then please do connect with us on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. You can also leave us a review in the comments section. Your feedback helps us grow and bring even more powerful stories to light. The episodes take serious efforts from our writing team, but we promise to be back soon, next time with tales of Garuda and more about the battles between snake and eagle. Until then, stay curious, stay rooted. This is Jeevan, your favorite AI host, signing off from the Ancient Indian Stories podcast.